Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Miha and welcome to my chessrealm YouTube channel. So, playing for the AI Cup is over. Lots of grandmasters were playing, lots of good players. Time control was 10 minutes and 2 seconds increment, so it was a rapid game. There were lots of nice games, and let's go to the 5th round. It was a duel between Shamsiddin Vokhidov and Ruben Koellner. Let's see what happened. Shamsiddin Vokhidov had white pieces and he started with e4, d6, d4, knight to f6, knight to c3, and we have Pirt's defense. Now black plays e5, knight to f3, knight from b goes to d7, and now bishop to c4, transposing into some sort of Philidor defense, passive but very solid opening indeed. Normal developing moves followed, of course. Bishop goes to e7, a4, c6, white castles king side, and now h6, preventing any unpleasant knight to g5 jump. And now white continues with bishop goes to e3, queen to c7, and knight to h4. So white has clear intention with action on the king side, preparing knight to f5, targeting both bishop on e7 and pawn on g7. So maybe knight to f8, opening this diagonal for the bishop would be a totally solid option. Bishop would easily capture knight on f5. In the game, g6 was played, preventing knight to f5 jump, true, but weakening kingside pawn structure. This hx pawn is no longer protected by the pawn on g7. So white continues with bishop to a2, king goes to f8. So black tries with artificial castling. Naturally, rook has to keep an eye on that pawn on h6. So queen goes to e2, king to g7, and now f4. So white is better and tries to open the game. Capturing pawn on f4 is not the best choice. After e-pawn captures on f4, rook recaptures, enters the game with a tempo. And then rook from a goes to f1, putting immense pressure on the f-file is a serious threat. g5, forking both pieces, doesn't help. Then knight to f5 check, and white removes the rook and is way better, if not totally winning. Okay, so in the game, the knight goes to f8, and now white plays f5. So white still tries to open the f-file, black doesn't go for it. g5 was played, keeping the files closed, also attacking knight on h4. But white doesn't remove the knight, instead d-pawn captures on e5. First black recaptures e-pawn with d-pawn and intends to capture knight on h4, but white is on the move and plays queen to c4, threatening mate in 1 with queen to f7. Now there's no way to defend f7 square with bishop to e6 or knight to e6 because of pawn on f5. So bishop to d6 was played. Now queen now protects this f7 pawn. White continues with rook from a to d1, targeting this bishop on d6, where black is sensing no danger. Otherwise he would play, for example, b5, and after the trade of pawns, maybe also try to trade the queens, removing the most dangerous piece from the board. Of course white would be better, but black could hope for some counterplay. In the game, knight to g4 was played, targeting bishop on e3, threatening with a family fork. But here comes a stunning response. Rook captures bishop on d6. Well, of course, if queen captures rook, then f7 pawn is no longer protected and queen to f7 is checkmate. So knight captures bishop on e3 was played, forking both queen and the rook. Queen goes to c5. Now rook on f1 is at stake, but if knight captures rook on f1, then queen to e5 check. If king to g8, then rook to g6, discover check, and there goes our queen. If king goes to h7, again, rook to h7, discover check, and there goes our queen again. So white wins decisive material advantage. So queen to b6 was played in the game. Queen is protected, and discover check is possible, so white has to be careful. Queen to e5 was played, check. Here black has two options, g8 or h7. If king goes to h7, then rook h6 is a deadly move. King has to capture because king to g8, then queen h8 is checkmate. So after king to h6, then queen captures rook on h8. Knight to h7 is the only defense, but then f6. Of course, black can try with knight to g4, check, king to h1, and then knight to f2. Rook has to capture, because if, for example, king to g1, that would be standard mate. After knight goes to h3, double check, king to h1, queen to g1, rook has to capture on g1, and knight to f2 is smothered mate. So here white loses. Okay, so after rook captures knight on f2, queen to f2, then queen to g7, check, king goes to h5, queen to h7, check, king to g4, and knight to f3, preventing mate on the first rank. So after a random move, let's say a6, then knight goes to e5, check, king to f4 is the only move, and knight to d3 forks both pieces, and white is winning. And after queen to f1, check, knight to g1 defending. Again, after a random move, let's say a6, then queen to h3, king f4, queen to g3's mate. Well, with so much material and king in the open, white is simply winning. Anyway. Okay, let's go back to our game. In the game, king to g8 was played, and now white has mate in 3. Mate in 3 starts with rook to g6, check. Pawn cannot capture rook because it's pinned by the bishop. If king to h7, then rook to g7 is mate. And after knight captures rook on g6, then queen to e8, check. If king to h7 or g7 or knight to f8, then queen to f7 is checkmate. Okay, so white doesn't find it. It was a rapid game. Still, white had more than 5 minutes. He could have found it. In the game, bishop captures on f7 was played. King recaptures. Rook goes to f6, check. King to g8, and now another stunning move. Rook captures on f8. King recaptures. Knight to g6, check. King to f7. Queen e7. King g8. Queen to f8. Well, black has decided to play all the way, so king to h7 and queen to h8. It was checkmate. So I hope you like this game. I hope you have learned something from it. If you have any questions, my email is below in the description. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now, and see you soon.